Lately, I've been working on my Audi Quattro. I've been kind of focusing on that car on the channel for the last few weeks because I'm taking that car on a road trip, just a short one for a day. So I want to make sure it's all squared away, but I don't want to let the 240 get left in the dust. We didn't quite finish this project, and that really is starting to bug me. I want to get this car out there and be driving it around and showing it off. But last time I made a hard push to get the body kit all finished up, get it wrapped, and I drove the car a little bit, and when I brought it back in the garage, I absolutely destroyed this freaking thing on the lift. Really feel like an idiot doing that. It got caught, I wasn't being careful, it had never really been a problem before, and it broke the crap out of this thing. Basically like a 6-inch crack in the lip, but it kind of just like spider webbed the vinyl like all over the place and in places I didn't even expect. So I'm gonna try to fix this today. I got a fiberglass repair kit. We're probably just gonna have to end up revinyling a bunch of this stuff on the bumper, which is kind of a bummer because I'm almost out of vinyl. I wanna make sure that I have enough left over to do the side skirt. And I've got this lip over here that, you know, is supposed to go under the bumper. I don't even know if I can run this thing because the car is so damn low. But we might wrap this thing too and mount it up and just see how it goes. Because this thing is slammed on the air ride, so it doesn't really need it. I'm just gonna start by cutting off all the damaged vinyl here so we got a nice clean place to work with. You spend a lot of time on this stuff, but you really gotta try hard not to become attached to it because stuff like this happens all the time. It's just a drift car, it's just a fiberglass 240. We'll just fix it and send it again. I already had some fiberglass repair stuff, but it's pretty old, so I bought a brand new one. This is just a Bondo fiberglass repair kit. I think it was about 30 bucks. Work like a pro, it says. I actually don't know any professionals that use Bondo branded stuff, but it's easy to get and it seems like it's good enough for the most part. I don't even know where to buy like the really high level professional stuff, but that might be too nice for this car. I didn't even bother wrapping the bottom of this because the bottom is just gonna get scraped off immediately. I think this time around I might give it a little rattle can black just to make it match, but the second this stuff touches the ground, it's just gone immediately. So kind of seemed pointless. No one's ever really gonna see under here, so I didn't even bother. But you would probably think that my car being on air, I can easily get over stuff, but with how low this body kit is, it doesn't seem to make enough of a difference even when I have it aired up all the way with 100 PSI in the bags. This little one happened just from pulling out of my driveway, so this bumper is pretty easy to crack. I feel like the previous one I had was a lot stronger. I'm not sure why it was so easy to break, but literally can't let this thing touch the ground at all. Kind of sucks. All right, so that's all prepped up and ready to go. I put a little piece of duct tape on the back side here because I actually don't want any fiberglass to get through that crack. I want it to all be on the back side. I'm gonna fill the indent later on with some fiberglass body filler, which is kind of similar to what you'd use, you know, on the side of the car, but it has little pieces of fiberglass resin and it's a little more flexible than regular body filler. So for now, I'm gonna cut up the pieces of cloth to lay in there and then mix the fiberglass with the hardener. Things will start to go, you know, a little bit nervous because once you start, you can't really stop, but it's pretty fun. You kind of just pour it in there and stick the cloth in and just hit it with the paintbrush and it all comes together. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the back side of the bumper. Before I start mixing all that stuff up, I'm gonna get this cloth kind of cut whatever shapes you want, but I usually do like 2-inch wide strips like this. Make them about 6 or 8 inches long. This bottle's not exactly huge. I'm probably just gonna use like half of it for this first go. And then mix it all up. Basically the idea is you're trying to get as much of this fiberglass cloth in here saturated with the resin and pretty much just pushing all the bubbles out too, because bubbles are gonna make it not as strong. Probably gonna be about 1/4 inch of fiberglass in here once I'm done, which will be really strong. My old bumper, like the whole thing was just a solid piece of fiberglass after I repaired it a few times. I got the bumper out there in the driveway. I'm gonna let it dry for about half an hour, maybe an hour. It's a perfect time to grab some lunch. And I've got enough of the resin and hardener and cloth and everything to do another layer. I'm actually gonna put some steel mesh inside the bumper in between the 2 layers. And this is definitely like a little trick that a lot of race car drivers and drifters do, is put the steel mesh in there to make it even stronger, because that's gonna make it even harder for it to crack. You'll still be able to chip it and scrape it and whatever, but at least the thing might not break in half. So I'll just do that little area. Maybe you know, further down the road, I'll do the whole bottom piece would be nice so that it's super strong. But for now, I'm just trying to get this thing looking nice again, get it fixed up, get it back on the car so I can take it to Cars and Coffee. It's actually kind of tough getting this stuff in there and not causing a bunch of bubbles, because if it isn't touching the fiberglass, it just creates an air pocket, and that's not good. I had to run to the store real quick because I thought I had some of this fiberglass filler, but I think I had used it all and it was really old, so I threw it out. This is pretty much just like regular body filler that you would use on metal, but this one is specially designed to be used on fiberglass. They add some fibers of fiberglass in the filler, and then they also make it a little more malleable, a little more flexible, so that it bends a lot more like fiberglass. I probably put a little bit too much hardener in this because it started hardening up before I had a chance to do the other part of the bumper, but I got the first two little pieces done. I'll start sanding it down and just seeing how it looks. We'll get there, you know. First you get the big gaps, then you start to get the small ones, and then you get the pinholes. Sand it, prime it, put the vinyl over it. So the first attempt at it actually wasn't quite as bad as I thought. There's definitely some pinholes and little crevices and things, but I mean, maybe one more and we'll be there. Once I got it kind of sanded down, it was looking pretty good. Once it starts to set, it's like instant. Like you'll be moving it around a little bit and all of a sudden just bam, it turns into rubber basically right away. I think I've got what I need here. Not too worried that there's gonna be any more pinholes, but honestly, if there is, like, let's be honest, this bumper is just gonna get messed up again the second I take it outside. So no use dragging myself through more pain and heartache trying to make this thing perfect and then ruining it all over again. We're just gonna get this thing wrapped up and put it back on the car. The only thing that really sucks, I just took inventory of my vinyl and I've got almost none left. Like, I'm a little bit worried that we're not even gonna have enough to finish the side skirt, which is really gonna suck. And we definitely don't have enough to do the lip. So I might just like rattle can the lip black or something for now, but we'll see. That's gonna suck. That second coat went really good. I did a great job on it. I'm pretty impressed by myself. The sanding was a breeze. Only had to spend like 5 or 10 minutes just getting it knocked down. So I'm gonna start putting the vinyl on it. I'm actually so worried that I'm gonna run out of vinyl on this one that I'm gonna prioritize the side skirt and save the very small amount of vinyl that I have left. That's it. That's all I have, which I don't even think is gonna be quite enough to get the whole side skirt. We'll see. But I'm gonna start wrapping this bumper with just rems. I just went upstairs and ordered 12 more feet of this, so that should be here in a week or two. I just wanna get this thing sort of looking okay, and then when the vinyl shows up, I'll just peel this off. Not gonna take it too seriously. We're just gonna get this knocked out, get it all one color so that it's not white anymore. All right, that bumper is all done. I'm gonna put it back on the car. I should probably air it up first. Hopefully I can find my car keys. Before I had only put a bolt in the fender here and a bolt here, but I think this time I'm gonna do like 3 bolts in here if I can fit them all, and then I might drill like some holes or something and zip tie the bumper to the crash bar just to get more points on here, because I basically ripped the thing off backing the car into the driveway after I already broke it on the lift. I'm gonna use the biggest fender washers I have to bolt this thing on. Hopefully that'll spread out the load a little bit. Get enough of these on there and the thing will be rock solid. One thing I never had with the Zenki bumper is this kooky one has massive vent holes in the front, which makes it extremely convenient when you need to reach your entire arm up here to put a bolt through. Very nice. We'll see if I can get a wrench in here to tighten this up in a sec, but first I want to drill those holes. You can kind of see the screws in there. The exposure's all over the place and the focus kind of sucks, but that's what we're working with. I might put one more closer towards the front right here. There we go. For whatever reason, the second side always goes a lot faster and easier, so I just knocked that side out pretty quickly and the bumper is officially installed now. Hopefully it stays on there for a while, at least until I decide to take it off. Since it's on the lift and everything, I've got the jack right here. I'm gonna jack the front of the car up and just take a look at the air ride and see if maybe I can squeeze an inch out of it and get the ride height a little higher. The car is at 110 PSI in the front, which is about as much as you wanna put in a bag. It's only about an inch away from tucking tires, so I think it can go up a little more, and I wouldn't be surprised if like airing the thing all the way out to 0 still nets me that, you know, crazy almost tucking wheel, frame on the ground, because I think what's happening is the car is basically hitting the ground before the air is even completely out of the bags, which means I should have some adjustment to still go up, which will give me more latitude. So let's take a look at that. I had mentioned that the bumper was damaged right here because I had scraped on the driveway, and that's partially true, but a lot of it was actually this thing's fault. This is a little puck on here that goes on my, 4-post lift jack, and the car just barely clipped it right here, and that's pretty much what broke it right there. So you just got to pay attention. You got to not forget about these things, and yeah, sometimes you get in a hurry, you're driving the car home and it's raining or whatever, and you bring it in the garage all fast and you're not paying attention. A lot of people don't know it, but most air ride systems that are worth a damn actually have threaded coilover bodies, and what they've basically done is replace the spring of the coilover with a bag. If you take a look at mine, pretty much makes sense. It looks exactly like a coilover. I should be able to loosen this thing up and raise it, but I'm not sure if I want to put in all the work to do that exactly right now or not. I guess it might be worth a shot. So I'm gonna raise it about 1 inch, and then tomorrow when I drive the car, we'll air the thing out, see where it lands. Hopefully it's still like laying frame, like hitting the bumper on the ground, but we'll have that latitude to go all the way up. So spin this sucker down. Let's try that for now. I'm also gonna measure it from the bottom and see exactly how far it is, so I can just make the other one exactly the same. So it's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. That was definitely worth it. It's pretty easy to get apart, so put it back together real quick. You can kind of see why I don't film a lot of stuff on this side. It's a little cramped. Same thing on this side, just give her a 3/4 of an inch here from the bottom. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Get it nice and tight so I won't be able to get it off next time. It's definitely a bit higher. It's most notably noticeable over here where these pucks are. This thing will clear it easily by at least 1.5 inches. So that's good. Let's just see if the car is still low when I air it out. Oh man, we're almost all the way down. I hear fiberglass cracking though, so I stopped. Starting to lose my voice, it's getting late. The car is definitely still slammed. I stopped airing it down at about 10 PSI because I could hear the fiberglass starting to crack. This tire is pushing up into it, but it's really low. I think it's plenty low. The bumper is literally resting on the jack over here, and I'm glad I didn't go any further because probably could have broken something again. And yeah, we'll get it outside on some flat ground. I'm happy that it's still slammed and the car, has an extra inch now. So that's actually pretty exciting. So tomorrow we'll take it like on a little photo shoot after we finish that side skirt. But for tonight, I'm gonna get some rest. I'll be back in the morning. All right, gonna get this place cleaned up and then we're gonna wrap this side skirt. I'm definitely gonna start with the longest piece down here along the very bottom and then probably do this next one. I'm gonna do it in a lot of different sections because there's so many hard angles. When I wrap the bumper, I try to do it in as few as possible, and some of those concave areas just wanna bubble up no matter how good of a job you do. So sometimes it's just better to cut a seam and then just lay the vinyl over itself. I think we should have enough to get this bottom part no problem, and definitely one of these sections here, but I'm worried we're not gonna have enough to just like finish off one of these areas and maybe the very top of this. So just gonna start going for it. This piece isn't quite long enough by about 2 inches, but if I stretch it out a tiny bit at a time, it'll be plenty. This stuff can stretch quite a bit. I would say it could probably stretch like 30% its length. You just don't want to stretch it too much because of course the color will start to fade. Luckily the backing on this is black, so if you start to see through the color, you kind of just see a black tint. And you start to stretch out the glue too that's on the back, so you have less glue per square inch. Oh yeah, no problem. Barely had to stretch that. All right, I've got, you know, a significant amount of vinyl left, and the only piece left to wrap is this little end part. I think I should even have enough to wrap the end caps, so getting to the point where I was starting to think like, man, if I get desperate enough, I'm just gonna rattle can some of this stuff gloss black so that it at least blends in with the car. Very, very excited to be done wrapping this damn thing. There might be a couple parts I'll have to redo when I get the new wrap, but I just wanna see this car outside. I wanna drive it around a little bit. I wanna like take photos of it and stuff like that and enjoy it. So very exciting here, and looking forward to seeing everyone's reaction tomorrow. I thought I was basically done making dust in here, but I forgot that I need to clearance this a little bit because I bowed the over fenders to push them outwards. To do that, you actually bend in these corners, and what that does is it makes the over fenders kind of start fouling into everything. You know, they go past where the side skirts are supposed to be. Same with the rear bumper. So to get this rear bumper up all the way, I'm just gonna cut this little piece off, and then I'm gonna rivet this thing on here because there's pretty much like no reason that I've ever needed to take the rear bumper off. It seems like it's a very rare occasion, so I'm just gonna semi-permanently rivet that on. I just took a look at the other side, make sure I kind of mimic the same thing. I'm basically just pop riveting this thing on here. They're very satisfying. I love kind of sticking it on there, and then they're basically like permanently held. I mean, it's the same thing they use for airplanes. My God, this drill bit sucks. I'm sure a lot of you all are familiar with BBS RSs. They're really cool three-piece wheels that come in a variety of sizes, and you can do all different things to them like I've done, where I triple stepped the lips and barrels to make them from 16s to 18s. These were originally the wheels off of my E30, and they were originally powder-coated chrome, which is the thing that I'm getting to. I lost one of these waffle caps with the hex cap, and you might think, well, no big deal, you know, just buy another one, and you can buy a bunch of them on eBay or whatever, but this is painted the exact powder coat as the wheel, and I had them painted like 8 years ago, so there's no way. So there's a few things you can do in this situation once you're done crying about it. With the waffle plates, there's a couple options. You can obviously buy OEM used ones on eBay, or you can get billet ones that are CNC cut, which are really cool, except for they obviously wouldn't match the rest of the wheel. But if you were getting a whole new set painted, that would definitely be an option. And then with the hex caps, people also make billet versions that are double height, half height, all kinds of cool stuff. And the billet ones look really cool because the edges are kind of sharp, but I wanted something even more different. I found these guys in Poland called MG Line, and what they made for me is a BBS hex cap, but instead of being a hex cap, it makes it look like you have a center lock. Unfortunately, I've had to buy new center caps, which haven't arrived yet because these are a different size, but really installation is very easy. You just slide them over your waffle cap like that and just thread them on like you would with the hex caps. They even gave me a cool little keyway thing to make sure they're nice and tight so they don't come flying off while you're driving the car. Not that that would ever happen. These do look pretty sick. Unfortunately, I think they're gonna look way better with the center cap, so we're gonna have to wait on that and also wait on that waffle plate to show up. So hopefully that comes sooner or later, but I'll get 3 of them on there for now, and then at least the car will sort of look put together. This thing's almost out of gas. Make sure we get it up to 100. Little bit worried that the side skirts are gonna get hung up, but sounds all right. I begged my wife to get a house with a flat driveway, and it just didn't happen. Everything came together, and it was the only thing I couldn't have. But I got the 4-post lift, so I was happy. All right, first, we're gonna take a look at the air ride and just get a good, reasonable height for the air ride. So that's pretty high, obviously. I don't drive the car that high ever. I mean, unless I'm going over a humongous bump. I usually have the front down at like 30 and the rear like 50 something, 53. So I'm just doing it manually right now so I can kind of dial it in. So that's what I would call reasonable. You know, there's a little bit of gap in here, and obviously when you're way close to it, it looks a lot bigger, but it looks nice. It's not so low that I'm afraid I'm gonna smash anything, you know, so easily. You can definitely drive it lower when you're in a parking lot or something, but yeah, let's take it for a little spin and we'll just kind of see how the thing reacts. I'm gonna try to make this reasonably quick because it's hot out and my windows don't roll down anymore ever since I broke the switch off with my knee. All right, I took the car for a drive. I was gonna record the whole thing and then the memory card on my camera filled up, so that didn't end up happening, but it went just fine. It rubs a lot and we'll work those little tweaks out, you know. I can see where it's rubbing, which is nice. It's kind of like peeled the vinyl away, so I can just chop that with the cutoff wheel, make sure that the thing is properly secured, because a couple of spots are actually where there's a rivet, so might have to drill those out and kind of just let it be all on its own. But the car made it back up into the driveway without ripping the bumper off, and it's doing really good. I think it's ready for Cars and Coffee tomorrow. I'm just gonna give it a little wash, kind of a little detail, get all the dust off of it, maybe polish up the wheels a little bit, and then I'm just gonna give it a good rest until tomorrow. So just in time, I think my hex cap came in the mail. I'll check it out. I don't really have time to paint this thing or anything like that, but let's at least put it on, make sure it's the right one, and then at least it'll have a hex cap and not just be a blank. Got to make sure the car is 100% for Cars and Coffee, you know, these days. Got a lot of tire kickers out there. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I'm gonna go shoot some videos of the car. I brought my red on the gimbal. Hopefully it works. It's not a gimbal I normally use, but felt really good yesterday to get the car out of the garage and wash it, get all the dust off finally. Just get that garage filth off of it. I feel like it's finally kind of done. That was the moment for me. I got the Komodo mounted on this thing, and this isn't that big of a camera, but I have to power it. So the batteries are kind of massive. I don't know if this thing can really handle it, and I can barely see the screen. Car's nice, still has the same rattles and things. I really need to get my solid subframe bushings out. Those things are horrible, but the thing looks absolutely awesome. So happy with the way this thing came out. I don't know if some of the rubbing is already going away or if I'm just getting used to it, but I feel like it wasn't quite as bad as I expected. Figure out where it's the worst and I'll just trim it with a cutoff wheel. I'm sure there's about 1 billion old men rolling into Cars and Coffee right now, taking all the good spots. Cannot wait to get some stickers on the center caps. One thing I don't get to do with my bigger gimbal setup is I can't get it really close to the ground. I can only get the camera about 1 foot off the ground, so it's really fun to be able to get a really extreme low shot like this. It's fun. All right, let's pack this up and go to Cars and Coffee. This is starting to feel like work. Trying not to work today, throwing a gimbal around. I do have one little trick about Cars and Coffee that those boomers don't have on me, and that's that my dad knows the guy that owns the show, so I'm gonna use the back door. All right. Yeah. We made it. So this is my dad's camera car. That's why you see all the tubes and stuff on it. Kind of built this thing to just be quick, nimble, easy to deal with. It's not really that easy to deal with, but the thing's got some pep to it, and we stick some cameras on all the speed rails here when we shoot like the serious stuff. So it's a pretty fun car. It's a little cramped for me though. I'm 6'4". Oh, so you already had your protein shake today.
Got a bubble out of there.
One thing that's really cool is my dad ran SDI cables throughout the car, so you can plug your camera into one of these BNCs and basically get your image without having to run any fresh cables and be taping stuff to the side. So that makes everything really convenient. My only reservation about the Langer's Cars and Coffee was that there was no coffee for the longest time, but now there's a girl in there that sells you a cup of coffee for $2, and that is fantastic. I am very happy about that, because I would usually just make some coffee before I leave and take it with me in the car, but the 240 doesn't really have any cup holders and it's kind of bouncy, so just end up making a mess. You can tell a lot about a man by how he stands by his car, but I cannot stand being anywhere near it when I'm at Cars and Coffee. I just get so overwhelmed by all the questions and people asking me why it's so low. And you know, it's just a personal preference thing. I love slammed cars, I love stanced cars, and maybe that's not exactly the demographic of the Cars and Coffee that I go to near my house, but it is what it is. You know, a lot of people loved this thing and a lot of people really enjoyed looking at it and taking photos of it, and that made me feel really good. You know, it's not necessarily why I built the car. It's really my car, it's for me, but it definitely made me feel like it was kind of worth it, you know. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna try to make sure this car is solid to take to a drift event. I wanna drive it at Spirit Peaks, which is a raceway, probably like 2 or 3 hours away from here, where some of my friends drift. My buddy Travis Reeder, who's pro Formula D driver, goes out there and he said he'd show me the ropes. So hopefully we can go out there and beat on it a little bit, hopefully not break it too early in the day, but it would be fun to see where its weak places are and, you know, see what could possibly be improved. The motor is really solid. It's got a little oil leak on the valve cover that I really need to fix. So other than that, I could maybe see us breaking some axles, and maybe I should practice swapping some axles out. But really love how this thing's all come together. Could definitely do another episode or two just finishing up, tidying up a few things. We're still missing turn signals, still missing, you know, center caps for those new hex caps that I got, but hopefully it'll all come in the mail here pretty soon and I can throw another episode out there about what's next on this. So thank you everyone for watching, and I just want to remind you to check your polarizer.